Friends, in one of my previous video, we talked about the uh, novel of Jack London, uh, a very famous novel, The Sea Wolf. And today we are going to talk about one of his another best novel, a very interesting novel, the name of which is The Call of the Wild by the same Jack London. He had read, this is a very interesting and beautiful novel. It is the story of a buck, a dog, a powerful dog, half Saint Bernard and half sheep dog, lives on the Judge Miller estate in California, Santa Clara Valley. He leads a comfortable life there, but it comes to an end when man discover that gold in the Klondike region of Canada, and a great demand arises for strong dogs to pull sleds. Buck is kidnapped by a gardener on the Miller estate and sold to dog traders, who teach Buck to obey by beating him with a club and subsequently ship him north to the Klondike. Arriving in the chilly north, Buck is amazed by the cruelty he sees around him. As soon as another dog from his ship, Curly, gets off the boat, a pack of huskies violently attacks and kills her. Watching her death, Buck vows never to let the same fate befall him. Buck becomes the property of Francois and Perrault, two mail carriers working for the Canadian government, and begins to adjust to life as a sled dog. He recovers the insult of his wild ancestor. He learns to fight, scavenge for food, and sleep beneath the snow on winter nights. At the same time, he develops a fierce rivalry with the Spitz, the lead dog in the team. One of their fights is broken up when a pack of wild dogs invades the camp, but Buck begins to undercut Spitz's authority, and eventually the two dogs become involved in the major fight. Buck kills Spitz and takes his place as the lead dog. So what happened next? That with Buck at the head of the team, Francois and Perrault sled makes record time. However, the man soon turned the team over to a mail carrier and forces the dog to carry much heavier loads. In the midst of a particularly arduous trip, one of the dogs becomes ill, and eventually the driver has to shoot him. At the end of this journey, the dogs are exhausted, and the mail carrier sells them to a group of American gold hunter, Hall, Charles, and Mercedes. So Buck, new master, are inexperienced and out of place in the wilderness. They overload the sled, beat the dogs, and plan poorly. Halfway through their journey, they begin to run out of food. While the humans bicker, the dogs begin to starve, and the weaker animals soon die. Of an original team of 14, only 5 are still alive when they limp into John Thornton's camp, still some distance from their destination. Thornton warns them that the ice over which they are traveling is melting and that they may fall through it. Hall dismisses these warnings and tries to get going immediately. The other dogs begins to move, but Bucks refuses. When Hall begins to beat him, Thornton intervenes, knocking a knife from Hall's hand and cutting Bucks loose. Hall curses Thornton and starts the sled again, But before they have gone a quarter of a mile, the ice breaks open and is swallowing both the humans and the dogs. Thornton becomes Bug's master, and Bug's devotion to him is total. He saves Thornton from drowning in a river, attacks a man who tries to start a fight with Thornton in a bar, and most remarkably, wins a $1,600 wager for his new master by pulling a sled carrying 1,000-pound load. But Bug's love for Thornton is mixed with a growing attraction to the wild, and he feels as if he's being called away from civilization into the wilderness. This feeling grows stronger when he accompanies Thornton and his friend in search of lost mine hidden deep in the Canadian forest. While the men search for gold, Buck ranges far afield, befriending wolves and hunting bears and mouse. He always returned to Thornton in the end, until one day he comes back to camp to find that Yehat Indians had attacked and killed his master. Being a devotional and a loyal dog, Buck attacks the Indian, killing several and scatters the rest, and then heads off into the wild, where he becomes the leader of the pack of wolves. He becomes a legendary figure, a goose dog, fathering countless cubs and inspiring fear in the Yehats. But every year he returns to the place where Thornton died and mourns his master before returning to his life in the wild. So this is the story of the Call of the Wild by Jack London. This is a very beautiful story. The tale of a dog, his loyalty, his adaptation towards nature, towards his own nature, his loyalty towards his master, and his bravery, how he did not succumb to the extreme harsh weather and circumstances. So this is the story of a buck, a very wild, a dog, a beautiful dog, a legendary dog, and a brave dog. This is the story of indispensable struggle of mastery. The Call of the Wild is the story of transformation in which the old buck, the civilized moral buck, must adjust to the harsher realities or in the forest north, where survival is the only imperative. Kill or be killed is the only morality among the dogs of the Klondike, as Buck realizes from the moment he steps off the boat and watches the violent death of his friend Curly. The wilderness is a cruel, uncaring world where only the strong prosper. It is, one might say, a perfect Darwinian world, and London's depiction of it owes much to Charles Darwin, who proposed the theory of evolution to explain the development of life on Earth and envisioned a natural world defined by fierce competition for scarce resources. The term often used to describe Darwinian theory, but London is not content to. This is the story of the power of ancestral memory and primitive instinct. This is the story of laws of civilization and wilderness through Jack London had told us through this novel, The Call of Wild, how the buck leads stand in stark contrast to each other. His contrast does not go unchallenged through the novel. His life with Judge Miller is leisurely, calm, and unchallenging, while his transition to the wilderness shows him a life that is savage, frantic and demanding. While it would be tempting to assume that these two lives are polar opposition, even later in the novel shows some ways in which both the wild and civilization have underlying social codes, hierarchies, and even laws. For example, the fact that Buck Joint is not anarchic. The position of lead dog is coveted and given to the most powerful dog. The lead dog takes responsibility for group decisions and has a distinctive style of leadership. The rules of civilized and uncivilized world are, of course, extremely different. In a wild, many conflicts are resolved through bloody fight rather than through reasoned meditation. But the novel suggests that what is important in both worlds is to understand and abide by the rule which the world has set up for you. And the membership of the individual in the group, this is the story. And Jack London, what a beautiful story, a novel he had written, the story of a buck, how he had changed. He went from the civilized world to the wilderness, and there he adjusted himself according to the harsh circumstances of the wild life. I think that when you read this, The Call of the Wild by Jack London, you will enjoy it. Thank you very much.